All of your favorite characters were average too, and that didn't stop them. Every time we chase a new goal, have a dream for ourselves, and think of changing our lives, we're afraid that being average is holding us back. This fear makes us think our goals are impossible for us to achieve. That every time we fail, it's another sign that we just can't do it. That maybe we were just meant to be ordinary. But what if I told you that being average was never the problem? So-called average people have always been capable of achieving success and becoming truly exceptional. What makes someone exceptional or just average isn't by how much they've succeeded by life, but by how much they were willing to try again when they failed. And that's what these characters represent.
If I keep trying until I can do it, then I can do it! It's not about winning or losing, it's about me taking you on right here and right now! Body improvements! Fight hard!
In this video, I'm going to break down what makes these three so-called average characters exceptional and how you can learn from them. Each of these characters either see themselves or is told by others that they lack skill, talent, and worth, but they never let the judgment of others or their own self-limiting beliefs stop them from achieving what they truly want. We can consume endless social media content of people achieving the dreams that we can only wish we could, of living our ideal lives, traveling the world, building a business, having an ideal partner. All of these things can just make us consumed with the idea that unless we are succeeding at everything we do in life, we're just average. But these characters can not only help you break that belief, but help you find your path to becoming truly exceptional. Mumen Rider is weak. He's a Class C hero in a world filled with powerful heroes that transcend average human strength, intelligence, and talent. S-rank heroes are the pinnacle of strength, but when the Deep Sea King comes, even they struggle to stop this threat. This monster starts mowing down heroes left and right and is making his way to the civilian shelter. But just when all hope looks lost, Genos, one of the strongest heroes, shows up. If you're at all familiar with shonen animes, then you know all the previous heroes were just cannon fodder, so we could get this epic fight between Genos and the monster. But when Genos gets defeated, we're still not worried because we know that Saitama is on his way, and the whole joke of One Punch Man is how he always shows up to beat the monster in just, well, one punch. But before Saitama shows up, we get one of the most memorable moments in all of One Punch Man, when Mumen Rider appears, literally crashing his little bike into the Deep Sea King to fight him. What can Mumen Rider do in this situation? His class and rank are things that he gets laughed at for. Nobody sees him as a serious threat. If all the heroes before him couldn't stop this monster, he doesn't stand a chance, and of course he gets beaten up in a brutal fashion, but for some reason he just won't give up. And that's when he gives us one of the realest moments for anyone who knows that they're average.
No one expects much. Not from me. They think a Class C hero won't be much help. I know that better than anyone. I'm too weak for Class B. I'm not good enough. I know that much. I'm aware that I have no chance of beating you. No one needs to tell me anything like that!
Mumen Rider isn't the main character. He's not even really a side character. But somehow his underdog fight scene continues to inspire people. When we have a goal, we think to ourselves that unless we succeed in it, we're a failure. We want to win. We want to know that our hard work will pay off, that all the sacrifices are worth it. But to win, we must also be willing to fail, and not just once or twice either, but so many times that we start to question if the goal is truly worth all this suffering. In these moments of doubt, when we lose sight of what our goal even means to us anymore, we don't just want to quit. We start to resent the fact that we're obsessed with a goal that feels impossible. But it's in these moments we need to dig deep down. Stories like Mumen Rider of people who try their hardest and still fail are everywhere, and not only fiction and anime, but in real life. Just because we give it everything we got doesn't mean we will succeed. But there is a reason why we find ourselves inspired by these underdog stories, by people who know that they are likely to fail but still persevere. It's in these characters we see the indomitable human spirit, people who even in the face of failure want to defy their fate. We wish we had the strength, the courage to act, and to believe that our struggle is worth it. Even if we are just average, does that mean it's not worth trying our best at something we find meaning in? Tanaka has worked hard to polish his skills, but even still, he feels average when he compares himself to those around him. After months of endless training and struggling to barely win against strong teams, Kurasuno finally makes it to nationals. In their second game, they are up against contenders to win the whole tournament, Inarizaki, known for not only their talent, but having star players that make them shine. To be on a team playing at a national level already makes any player exceptional. But when Tanaka is up against a team like Inarizaki and has players on his own team that shine brighter than him, he feels like an afterthought on the court. Nobody sees him as bad or being unworthy to be there, but he isn't seen as exceptional either. Inarizaki makes it a point to target him as the weak link of the team. Even if you slave away at one goal for your entire life, there will always be those with more talent, skill, and success than you. It doesn't matter if you are starting off or have been working for years. When you fall short of your goal, people and your inner critic will judge you for what you lack. This is what Tanaka feels. Even though he's worked so hard to get to where he is now, the path ahead of him is even longer. The mountain he thought he conquered was just a false summit. Those who lack talent will always have to work hard. It's all we can do when we're just average. And it's in those moments when we start to get tired of working so hard that we wonder if our goal is even worth it, and we start to feel sorry for ourselves. But that's when Tanaka asks himself,
"Hey, Mr. Average, do you really have time to be hanging your head?"
Whether it's how we perform in a sport, at a job, or our entire lives, we can compare everything we do to those around us. Sometimes comparison can be helpful. We can look to those ahead of us and get inspired to be great just like them. But most of the time, we fall into the comparison trap. We will see people who have succeeded in all of the goals we're aiming at, who are living the very lives we wish we could. But all that time we spend comparing ourselves, looking at what we lack that others have, and feeling sorry for ourselves, all of that could have been spent to just work on ourselves. All those who work hard don't succeed, but all those who have succeeded have worked hard. That's what Tanaka as a character truly captures. He isn't able to control if his team will win, if he will be able to score, if the ball will even come his way. All that he can control is how much work he is willing to put in even when he feels defeated. And honestly, that's all that matters. Everything else is just a distraction. Mob is the strongest psychic in his world, capable of doing literally anything. We see weaker psychics than him using their powers for their own selfish desires. Whether it's seeking out power, popularity, or even manipulating the hearts of people, everyone around him sees psychic powers as something to take advantage of. But to Mob, he never uses his psychic powers unless it's to help people. Without his powers, he's even less than average. His cardio sucks, he has no social skills, and worse, when he doesn't use his psychic powers, he's got that bowl cut on his head.
Oh, hell no, man. What the f-
He's below average in all the most fundamental traits needed to be a normal human being. Most of these could be solved if he just used his psychic powers, but he actively chooses to work hard on everything through his own effort. He wants to improve his body, impress his crush, and build relationships by himself. His goals are not the most ambitious. Honestly, they're pretty ordinary goals to have. Things that you and I would want to achieve when we were kids, or even still now. When we feel like we're average or below average, most of the time we aren't aiming to be the best at anything. We just want to feel like competent, normal people. Despite this show having some of the most incredible fights and character arcs I've seen in all of anime, one of my favorite episodes in Mob Psycho is just when Mob is training to place top 10 in a 5K run to impress his crush. Up until this point, we've seen just how much Mob's cardio sucks, and even with all the training he's done so far, he's unlikely to go from 291 to the top 10 on training alone. The obvious answer to this problem would be enhancing his physique with his psychic powers, but instead, with the little time he has left before the run, he decides to just train his hardest. We all want to improve our lives, to change our circumstances. But what usually keeps us trapped from ever wanting to grow isn't that we're average or that we lack the ability to grow, but that we're afraid to admit that we have to start with simple goals. The fact that we need to make such basic goals like learning how to make friends, how to start going to the gym, or even just running a 5K without passing out makes us feel embarrassed about ourselves. But Mob never lets the fact that he can't run, can't hold a conversation with his crush, or can't do the simplest things without relying on his friends to ever stop him from trying to grow. We all have to start somewhere. Some of us are blessed with a head start, while most of us feel like we have to start so far back that we can't even see the start line. But this is nothing to be ashamed of. Mob trains relentlessly, and with the help of his friends, he does his best to be prepared for this race. On the day of the 5K, we see Mob gets immediately tripped at the start and struggles for the entire race. After trying his hardest to achieve his goal, he pushes himself so hard that he passes out and fails. He didn't even finish the race, let alone make it to the top 10. But does that mean that all of his effort was a waste? Improving anything about our lives, whether it's our relationships, quitting a bad habit, or changing our lives entirely, isn't possible without taking risks, and especially without failing many times. Mob might have failed his goal of reaching the top 10, but that doesn't mean his struggle was meaningless. This episode showed to me how impactful all of the small goals and decisions that Mob made up until this point have shaped his life to be better. All of his relationships, from the Body Improvement Club, Telepathy Club, his family, Reagan, and Dimple, they all pitch in to help him accomplish his goal. Even though he didn't succeed, his cardio still improved, and his performance was still better than last year. The person that Mob was at the start of the show when he could barely run, and the person that he is now are completely different. Shaped by the goals he set and the relationships he's built, Mob continued to grow and show me and everyone who has watched Mob Psycho just how anyone could change themselves, even if we just start small. So the question is, how do we apply this to our lives? Because obviously these are anime characters and the author wrote all of them to represent some sort of human trait that is much easier said than done. And the best way that I can help you break the belief that being average is holding you back from success is from my own life. I grew up with asthma. I could barely run. I had no physical skills whatsoever. Kind of like Mob, a lot like Mob, but I always dreamed of being able to run, of accomplishing some sort of physical feat that I could only dream of as a kid. But I always limited myself, especially growing up, going through high school. I told myself I could not run. It was a belief that I held on to. I took it as a fact of life. I started smoking too, and all of that built up to me thinking that I had no cardio and stamina whatsoever. But during COVID, one day I decided just to go out for a run. I wanted to see if I could do 3K, I think. I could not even run 3K straight without feeling gassed out. But I still ran, kept on going and going. And just like Mob, eventually my cardio built up to the point where I ran not only multiple marathons, but I even did 50 kilometers and even 100 kilometers at one point. All of that is to say that our limitations are more in our head than they are a fact of life. I could never have imagined that I could have done such a long distance when I told myself that I had no cardio whatsoever. But when I broke that belief and I just tried every single day to improve myself a little bit, I became focused more on how I could grow rather than obsessing about all of the reasons why I would fail. That's what Tanaka represents with asking yourself, if you are average, do you really have time to look down on yourself? The answer obviously is, of course not. But thoughts of self-pity and self-loathing can get us down when we are just tired of failing all of the time. That's why I love that fight scene from One Punch Man with Mumen Rider so much, because he knew he was going to fail, but he willingly entered that fight even though he already knew the outcome. But that's what it means to persevere, because if we have failed 100 times, if we have failed 1,000 times, it can feel like that is the only outcome that we can ever expect to get in our lives. But when we apply ourselves to a goal, a dream, a different version of ourselves that we want to become, we focus on all of the little things that we can do to improve ourselves, even just a little bit. And that's why being average was never the problem. Yes, there will be things that limit us in life. Yes, we will fail, and yes, we can't control everything that will happen to us. But would we rather try to accomplish and become someone that we can be proud of? Or will we just accept all of these limiting beliefs? I don't want to live a life where I can't chase my dreams, of believing that it's worth the effort, worth failing for. And whatever you want to achieve in life, whoever you want to become, I hope that you don't let being average hold you back, because it never did.